Hello, true crime fans. Welcome to Debate the News True Crime Edition. I'm Joseph Lobosco, joined by our fabulous other host, Adrienne Barker. And tonight we're diving into the gripping mystery of Suzanne Morphew, a Colorado mom whose 2020 disappearance exposed a fractured marriage and a case that's still unfolding in 2025. Some of the discussion material, including domestic abuse, infidelity, and homicide, may be triggering or upsetting, so listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know needs support, help may be available at the Crisis Lifeline at 988 or the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1 800 799 7233. Adrian and I are not attorneys, law enforcement, or forensic experts. While we research every case, this show is recorded live with little to no editing. Any statements containing factual inaccuracies are unintentional. Any individuals or parties named who have not been convicted of a crime are, of course, considered innocent until proven guilty. The opinions of our guests and audience members are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of myself, Adrian, or Debate the News.
Thanks, Joseph. Okay, so tonight we're unraveling the Suzanne Morphew case. It's a chilling saga of a missing mom, a staged bike ride, and a husband re-indicted for murder in 2025. We're digging deep tonight, guys, in the cracks of Suzanne and Barry's marriage before her disappearance, splitting the timeline. We're going to be sharing it with you, and we want you to help us debate why this case haunts so many. So let's go to the timeline. Joseph, take it away.
It all begins Sunday, May 10th, 2020, Mother's Day. Around 5:45 p.m., a neighbor reports 49-year-old Susan Morphew missing from her home near Salida, Colorado. Suzanne's daughters have been away camping and are unable to reach her all day. When deputies arrive, they find Suzanne's car parked and the house empty, but notably, Suzanne's mountain bike is gone.
Later that evening, deputies locate Suzanne's bike down a steep hill not far from the Morphew house. Strangely, the bike shows no sign of damage or accident, suggesting that the scene might be staged. On May 14th, her bicycle helmet is found, discarded roughly 1 mile from the bike, but still no trace of Suzanne. And as extensive searches come up empty, suspicion is mounting. Barry Morphew, Suzanne's husband, he insists he left home early on May 10th for a landscaping job in Bloomfield, 150 miles away. You may have seen him. He issues an emotional video plea for Suzanne's safe return, but no credible leads surface.
As the investigation continues through the summer, detectives quietly focus on Barry, uncovering deep cracks in the Morphews' marriage. Suzanne had privately confided to close friends about Barry's controlling behavior, and she said she was planning to leave him. Investigators soon discovered Suzanne had been secretly involved in a 2-year affair with a married high school friend, Jeff Liebler, from Michigan. Suzanne and Jeff frequently communicated using secret messaging apps and met covertly in multiple states starting in late 2018. Crucially, Suzanne's affair was unknown even to her closest family and friends. When authorities identified Jeff months after Susan vanished, he fully cooperated, providing a solid alibi and DNA samples. Investigators ultimately cleared Jeff of any involvement, but the affair became a central motive in their case.
Authorities soon uncovered troubling evidence that pointed towards Barry. Digital data from Barry's phone and truck showed unusual activity at home on the afternoon of May 9th, the last day Suzanne was known to be alive, which Barry oddly explained as shooting chipmunks. Hmm. Further, surveillance videos in Bloomfield captured Barry disposing trash at multiple locations on May 10th, raising suspicions he might be discarding evidence. Investigators also found the cap from a what is that word? Joe's a tranquilizer. Yes, the tranquilizer gun. I don't hear that word a lot, and I hope nobody ever uses it on me. So he was an experienced hunter. He owned a tranquilizer gun, and they find the cap. These clues bolstered suspicions against Barry, though, you guys, just to remind you, Suzanne's body still remains missing.
Nearly 1 year later, on May 5th, 2021, Barry Morphew was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, despite still no body having been recovered. Prosecutors laid out a theory that Barry discovered Suzanne's affair and the intention to divorce him, prompting him to kill her. Barry adamantly maintained his innocence, pleading not guilty, and was released on bond pending trial. During preliminary hearings, evidence like the tranquilizer cap, suspicious trash dumps, and Suzanne's secret affair emerged publicly for the first time. Barry's two daughters stood firmly by their father, convinced of his innocence.
But in a stunning twist, the prosecution abruptly dismissed all charges against Barry on April 19th, 2022. Dismissed them all shortly before trial. The dismissal case came after prosecutors faced judicial sanctions for failing to disclose evidence promptly to the defense. Barry walked free. The case goes cold, and Barry accused authorities of wrongful prosecution.
Then, on September 22nd, 2023, nearly 3.5 years after Suzanne disappeared, searchers in a remote wooded area near Moffett, Colorado, about 40 miles south of the Morphew home, discovered human remains. DNA tests confirmed they belonged to Suzanne Morphew. Investigators found scattered skeletal remains and clothing consistent with Suzanne's last known outfit, along with a medical device from her cancer treatment confirming her identity. Experts concluded her body had decomposed elsewhere and had then been moved to this site after death, opening new questions about how and why her body got there.
In April 2024, autopsy results revealed Suzanne's death. It's homicide. Homicide, however you want to say it. She was killed, though the exact cause remained unspecified due to decomposition. However, toxology testing uncovered some crucial evidence, traces of potent wildlife tranquilizer drugs known as BAM in Suzanne's remains. And these tranquilizers directly link back to who? Yep, you're right. It's Barry, who had previously obtained prescriptions for these same drugs for deer hunting. This evidence strongly suggested Suzanne was subdued and likely incapacitated before her death.
With Suzanne's remains found and the tranquilizer evidence linking back to Barry, prosecutors reconvened a grand jury. On June 18th, 2025, just last month, Barry Morphew was re indicted for Suzanne's murder. He was arrested in Phoenix 2 days later and extradited back to Colorado. Barry appeared in court again, facing renewed charges but still professing innocence. The stage is now set for another trial, as prosecutors insist this new evidence proves Barry's guilt, while Barry's defense argues investigators remain fixated on the wrong man. Wow, Adrian, wow. This case has a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah, where does it start too? It's interesting. I mean, here you have this good-looking husband and wife, always happy. I mean, they are really camera-ready face. They seem in love, right? Everyone thinks that it's a happy marriage. And then what happens? So, my question, Joseph, to you and then to our friends, we're on chatter. If you're listening to us now, you're listening to the podcast, and just know that we invite you to be part of the chatter crew on Debate the News True Crime. All you have to do is download the app on your iPhone store or your Android store. You'll see little bubbles and go to Chatter Social, grab it, get it, put your profile up, attach your socials, and come on into the room. We want to see you and we want to hear what you have to say. So, in the meantime, let me ask this question to Joseph, and then we want you to answer. So, Joseph, we see this, and then it becomes surprising to people. Wait, I thought that they had a happy marriage, but there was some secrecy, and it looks like she did hide this affair from her closest family, like you said, and we don't know if she was scared of Barry, just scared for her family, or maybe even just feeling guilty that she is falling for another man who's not her husband. But like, what happens there? What do you think when you heard that with the affair? Like, that kind of opens the doors to other things, correct?
Yeah, so while people didn't know about the affair, Some of her close friends did know that there was trouble in the marriage. Suzanne had expressed privately that she was afraid of Barry, that he was super controlling. She noted that on at least one occasion, he weaponized finances to try to guilt trip her or manipulate her about the cost of her cancer treatments. He said something to the effect of, "How would you be able to afford your cancer treatments if it weren't for me?" So, very manipulative, very controlling. So, I think that having the affair and keeping that a secret probably did stem from some genuine fear of Barry, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense, and the power of the purse, that financial abuse is pretty awful. So, what do you guys think? Did Barry know about the affair, Joseph, and the police had to tell him or ask him the questions? Do you know how that what happened?
So that's a great question. I don't know if he knew for sure that she was having an affair. I believe that he was suspicious at the very least. She had sent Barry a text message within a week of her disappearing, basically saying that she was done. She said she doesn't care about what Barry has been doing, alluding to the fact that he may have been having affairs, but she said that she was done. So he definitely knew that the marriage was very possibly ending in the days leading up to her disappearance.
So, first of all, how many of you are familiar with the story? Debbie, let's hear what you have to say because I'm curious.
Well, I think about the fact that, she did confide in some people that the marriage wasn't as perfect and how controlling he was. And I really believe that she hid the affair out of fear because there would have been so many repercussions. I mean, he could have been jealous. There was just a whole bunch of factors going in there and how he would turn it to their daughters. And for me, I think it really was about the fact that she feared him in one way or another, whether violence or the money or whatever, she felt the fear.
Yeah, Now, does she think that he had an affair? Because I think that there was some conversation that they noted that Suzanne had suspected Barry of having an affair and was using a spy pen to catch him. Oh, have you read anything about that? Because we didn't hear any evidence of Barry's infidelity. But Joseph, did you hear anything about that?
Yes, so there were reports that Suzanne had used a spy pen, which is essentially a device that looks like a regular pen, and I believe it typically functions as a regular pen, but it has a recording device in it. And there was a spy pen that was placed, I think, in Barry's vehicle that allegedly Suzanne was using to try to either catch him in revealing information about an affair or catch him in something. And what happened was it inadvertently actually exposed her own affair because there was something on the recording that revealed her affair with this other gentleman. So investigators uncovered that through their investigative process.
It's so interesting to me how when a husband and wife, when one of the partners goes missing, and so for Suzanne, she went missing on, I think, was it Mother's Day, or she was reported missing 4 days after Mother's Day, if I'm correct.
It was the following day. They believe that the murder took place either late on Mother's Day or early the following day.
Okay, got it. Okay, so then there's a video that's shared on a Facebook page via the Find Suzanne Morphew page. And in it, Barry emotionally pleads, saying, "Oh, Suzanne, if anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you. No questions asked, however much they want. I'll do whatever it takes to get back. Honey, I love you. I want you back so bad." And he offered $100,000 reward, and a family friend doubled it to 200,000, leading to the safe return. And then that got all over the news. And I'm only bringing this up because it feels like it's like the same kind of pattern. A missing, the news, someone pleading. So, anyone remember watching the news and seeing Barry emotionally plea for his wife?
Yes, this is Mariana.
You do. You,
So, yes, he actually went on video and pleaded for her and offered the $100,000 that you just mentioned. But one thing that I wanted to bring up about the affair, you asked if he was having an affair. I did not hear anything like that. But what I did hear was she sent a message to her sister and told her, like, few days or something like that before everything happened, that her husband was mentally and physically abusive to her, and that she was just kind of over everything. So that's one thing that we have to consider. Also, the pen, like Joseph mentioned, there was a recording there. They actually just came back and kind of bite her in the butt because she was trying to use it on him, but it also recorded her conversation with her lover, where they were getting set up to see themselves over WhatsApp, and they were, explicit in the conversation. So I don't know if I gave too much information, but those are the things that I do remember and that I know are facts.
Wow. I'm like, wow, wait, so the pen so first of all, she puts what was she doing with how'd the pen get in her? Unless he was smart enough to slip the pen, unless
Right.
Barry slips the pen in her pocketbook.
Yeah, so she actually, I think, like, she had the pen on her, and it recorded a conversation between her and her lover. So the guy that she was having an affair with, and they actually heard that recording. So it kind of exposed the guy. I believe was like 6 months after she disappeared. They finally uh, found him because he did not come forward. They found him through that conversation, and then he collaborated with the authorities. He actually gave the password to all his social medias. He deleted all the message on social media that he had with her. I guess all the accounts and stuff because they connected through, I believe, Facebook, and then they were communicating through WhatsApp. And he deleted all that, but they recovered it, and he gave the police all his passwords. So he had nothing to hide, according to everything that he did. He was just concerned that his wife was going to find out because his wife obviously did not know because he was married with his kids. So there we go.
My gosh. My gosh, they should have been whispering when they had that secret pen, right? A good whisper would have helped that issue. All right, I want to play because I remember this so clearly during the COVID time that he made this plea. So I'm going to just play the video. If you're listening on the podcast, you will hear the voice of Barry Morphew. And they have a number on here for the tip line, and the video is courtesy of the Morphew family. And I'm going to play it right now.
Oh, Suzanne, if anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you. No questions asked. However much they want, I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you. I want you back so bad.
These are like the tough videos to see. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, so he's doing a video pleading for any information about his wife's disappearance, and he even goes as far as to insinuate no questions asked, insinuating that he believes someone else is involved in this. Of course, prosecutors allege that he is in fact responsible for this. So if it does turn out that he was the person that killed her and he does get convicted on those charges, it's very rich to now, in retrospect, watch this video of him pleading for information about her disappearance when it's very possible he himself actually was responsible. I just want to quickly go to Mary Kim because I see her hand is up, and then we will go to Amanda.
Yeah, so maybe I'm biased, but anytime I hear a guy like this guy go on TV and just the way their tone is. I mean, I'm not an expert, but this is just my gut feeling how it works. Like, I always think they're full of crap. I just don't believe them. It's the tone of the way they do it. They always seem fake. And I kind of remember his face, but I don't remember the storyline. So I'm glad that you guys brought it here. But if he's abusive, was abusive and allegedly or whatever the case may be, definitely so he's guilty. I never get a good feeling when the man comes on, just like how they do the plea and what they say and their demeanor and the body language. I'm like, this guy is full of poop. Um, sugar honey, I see it as I like to say it. And because the stats of women and girls being killed globally is every 10 minutes. So this type of behavior in this guy and that type of relationship, I do not put it past him that he wasn't going around sleeping with other women. From what I know about those type of men, it's kind of common practice. And so I'm not surprised at all. And that I agree with what Debbie said, because of fear, she tried to hide it. But if you're in that situation, of course, you can't show left all the things, right? You have to comply in order to survive. So that's my viewpoint.
No, thank you, Mary Kim. I appreciate that. And then Amanda's going to go. And then I do have some information on the body language experts. But Amanda, take it away.
So, my share was about the body language because I watch a lot of police interrogation videos where they break down the body language. And what's interesting in this was just my observation, which aligns with what Mary Kim was just saying, is this guy is full of it. The constant head shaking no when he was saying that he loves her and he wants her back, and all the things that kind of contradict everything. If you watch it and see his body movements, it contradicts what he's saying. So a lot of times when there's police interrogation, sometimes they'll say I had nothing to do with it, but their head will be nodding yes because the body does not lie. So I thought that was an interesting observation from all the police interrogation breakdown videos that I watch, and I just wanted to share it.
I love that, Amanda. I love that. And I'll share with you what the experts said, but you're spot on. Mariana?
Yes, I wanted to touch on that as well. If you look at the video, you see his body, he's hinting forward and very relaxed. And when he speaks, he just has his body has no motion, right? It's just kind of very relaxed in his body. I was telling my husband, oh my God, if I disappeared and somebody sees you like that, that's a lot of telling, right? Because what he's saying doesn't match his body language. Also, when he comes for the first time to the house, when the police was waiting on him after she disappeared, supposedly he was on a job that he was doing. He came to the house, and if you watch the video, he's like, "Did you think it was a bear?" Like all of a sudden, he had an idea that something happened to her, like right away.
Oh, the
You think
mountain
it was
lion, right? The mountain.
yeah, like a lion or a bird or something like that. He mentioned, and it's like, really? Like that's kind of weird to say this a lion or a bear. Something happened to her when there's nobody to say that a bear or a lion grabbed her. I don't know. It's just very. He was just preparing for an excuse. His body language just doesn't match his tone of voice, and he had an excuse right away when he came for the first time, and he was just too calm for my date. I was like, you have to show me some emotion. Yeah.
That's funny. I want to go through the body language, but I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, Joseph. You just can't tie me down. Yes, when he got home, he kind of came home. He arrives at the scene around 8:46 p.m. after returning from where he was working a landscaping job. He learns that Suzanne's bike was found undamaged with no sign of a crash, blood, or a struggle, and he says, "Is it a crash?" When told there was no damage to the bike, he suggested, "A lion? a mountain lion. And this like moment was documented in multiple sources. So that is so true. And then I guess he also had mentioned Mariana the mountain lion in other contexts. So like he reportedly told his employee Morgan that a mountain lion might have taken Suzanne up the hill. I don't even know where to go with that. And in a conversation with Tyson Draper, referenced in a YouTube video, Barry speculated that a mountain lion could drag its prey, though police ruled out this possibility early in the investigation. Okay. Then he told investigators, including former district attorney investigator Alex Walker, that he feared Suzanne might have been attacked by a mountain lion or picked up by someone, or that something happened at an RV park. So, by the way, the investigators dismissed the mountain lion theory like almost immediately. There was no noted signs of an animal attack, such as blood, torn clothing, or damage to the bike. The helmet was found 4 days later, almost like 0.84 miles away, also undamaged. I mean, did this guy not realize that like a mountain lion just doesn't walk by, daintily pick up a human being and just like, let me lay the bike down nicely and let me just take her up the hill? Like, no, it's crazy. Okay. So, by the way, Mariana, you saw that they also talked about he didn't seem very distraught about learning about the bike, which also raised suspicions. I don't think people think, I think they think they could fake it, but let's go back if you don't mind. Sorry, Joseph, I'm hijacking the show. If you don't mind to talk about the facial expressions, because I think this is like interesting to me, right? So here's what Patty Wood said when she saw it. And I think Amanda's spot on. Wood observed that Barry's pained expression seemed set like a mask, suggesting that they were not dynamic or genuine or authentic at all. So she stated, we see pain in his face, but notice it doesn't move across his face and it doesn't change as he speaks. It seems like a mask, which reveals that he put it on or he's faking the expressions. And then Amanda, this is an interesting one. The use of her name. So Patty notices that spouses typically repeat their missing partner's name over and over again, and they keep talking and pleading endlessly, and until they run out of time. Right? They're just like on that, like, I please, I need to find my wife Sally, I need to get her home, or they break down with emotion. But she described Barry's plea of, "Oh, Suzanne," as almost forced and speeded up rather than like lingering with affection or concern. And then this is what I think Amanda was really talking about. She interpreted Barry's head shaking during the plea as a potential sign of ambivalence or deception, suggesting that it could indicate that his words might not be true. And he might not be saying what he really wants. So I think that, Amanda, is definitely what you were saying. So I thought that was cool, and I wanted to share all that. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting because I always pay attention to that as well. Well, I was in one of my corporate jobs, we actually did a training on body language. And it was very interesting when we did the exercises to see how people says one thing, but they not something different with their head or their body expression. So the body, like Amanda was saying, doesn't lie. The body kind of reveals exactly what they're thinking. So it's pretty easy to spot. He definitely reveals himself easily. For those of us, they are very intuitive when it comes to body language.
And that-
And they could have probably prompted him to do videos like this because that's just more evidence and a way to kind of sniff him out to see how he's going to react in those situations where he's not thinking like, "Oh, I'm on surveillance right now." Like it's different than being in an interrogation room. Like if this guy was trying to outsmart them or they didn't get everything that they needed in the interrogation room, this could have been something that they prompted him to do so that he could let loose a little bit and feel like he wasn't being monitored and the true feelings would shine through and they could like break that down and look at it, which I'm sure they probably did.
I didn't even think about that. Amanda, that is interesting way to think. I love it. That makes sense. Let's switch gears for a minute from mountain lion to chipmunk. if you guys don't mind, because there's very similar characters. I wouldn't know if I met one on the woods. I would be like, "Are you a mountain lion or a chipmunk?" Right? Because they both kind of look alike. So, Joseph, do you remember what the chipmunk alibi is?
Yeah, so according to investigators, they pulled data from Barry's phone, and it, of course, tracks your steps and your movements. iPhones do all sorts of things, and I'm sure Androids do as well. And his phone was shown moving erratically around the outside yard of their home around the time that he came home in the afternoon on Mother's Day. Barry, when presented with that data, claimed he was probably running around the backyard shooting chipmunks, which to me sounds insane. I mean, I grew up in the woods of northern New Jersey. We had a ton of chipmunks. We even had mountain lions, allegedly. And I have some friends who hunt. I've never heard of anyone running around their house and shooting chipmunks, especially at 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Mother's Day. So investigators do not agree with Barry's claim. They think that he was actually likely chasing Suzanne around the backyard that day, but we'll have to wait until the trial to get more on that.
Joseph, I have to take a call right now. I'm sorry. It's Chip and Dale. And they're not happy. They're not happy. Chip and Dale has asked me to say to everyone, please do not shoot chipmunks in your yard because they are not a nuisance. We all need our chipmunks. This guy claimed to have shot 85 chipmunks in the last 2 years. Do you know that? I mean, he is not like Chip or Dale, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. The other thing is, remember the tranquilizer that they found? They think that he saw her with that, and then he was chasing her. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's just awful. No, that's just I do. It's just that's just an awful thought to think that way. And I would assume though that if it was a tranquilizer for a deer, and she seems very little, that it probably would have knocked her right out. So Mariana, before you said that about chasing around, I'm thinking, what a coward! What a coward that he's going to knock her out. Debbie, take it away.
Yeah, so when you talked about the tranquilizer thing, and I know that he said that he bought the tranquil because they found that he had purchased tranquilizer for deer, that he had bought it for deer hunting. But here's my thing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He was going to use it for the chipmunks, but it was deer tranquilizer. An average deer, because I looked it up, an average deer weighs 350 to 400 pounds, while a chipmunk on average weighs about 3 ounces. So if you were buying this tranquilizer stuff, why would you be buying for a deer if you were gonna be hunting chipmunks? I would think that a tranquilizer gun for a 400-pound animal would instantly kill this chipmunk, that's only weighing 3 ounces. So for me, that did not make sense at all.
Oh, no, Debbie. I think that you got it confused there. He actually said the tranquilizer was for the deers, but he was chasing and killing the chipmunks because they appeared a lot around his house. But he was a professional on this type of materials, on the tranquilizer. They discovered he was the only one in the whole town around that was actually certified to use this product. So imagine that.
Uh, Debbie, please respond, and then I have to ask, like, who uses deer dope? Like, what is that?
Yeah, no, Mariana is correct. But my whole thing is, why are you even bringing it up and saying that, I just have a whole problem with that tranquilizer thing because he said he was hunting chipmunks, but they found the tranquilizer thing in the laundry. So why did he even have it on him if he was just hunting these little chipmunks?
Oh, you know what? No, that makes sense. So he was using so these are the questions. That's why I really, really, really love this because no matter what Joseph and I could think of all the discussions, we always seem to go like in another direction, right? It's just so funny, Joseph. But here's the thing. So I'm thinking, why would you as a deer hunter dope your deer first? But I am so silly myself that he was using it to sedate the deer for a collection of antlers. So he collects antlers that way, not necessarily to kill them. That's what he told the investigators. He explained that that's why the tranquilizer he had were for that purpose. However, he did not claim to tranquilize a deer before killing them. So his goal was the harvest the antlers, which can be done without killing the animal. Interesting. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, and Adrian, it is also illegal to do that, at least in the area where he was. And again, I have some friends who do hunt deer. I've never heard of anyone that I know using tranquilizer darts to hunt. And I believe that is generally either illegal or highly restricted in most or all of the United States. But I'd love to hear if anyone else has any info on that. I see Mary Kim and Debbie, your hands are up.
That's yeah, that's what I wanted to chime in, Joseph and Adrian, is that I have an uncle who's always hunted animals, right? For not only gaming, but actually eating it and with the thing on the wall and stuff like that. And a friend, and none of them have ever used a tranquilizer to hunt deer. So yeah, he's still full of, sugar honey iced tea.
Sure. That's a cute saying. I love it.
If I may,
That's Marty, you guys.
real,
Marty, take it away.
yeah, I'll just be real quick, if I may. Nobody who hunts deer uses tranquilizer darts. Just wanna. I'm not a professional deer hunter, but I've definitely been deer hunting, and nobody uses tranquilizers. Nobody's doing that. You're hunting deer. You just don't.
Phew, Marty, first you can speak up anytime. And good to know because I come from Connecticut, dated plenty of men and had boyfriends, and deer hunting was very, very common. And I think I would freak out. Like, why are you using a tranquilizer? So that's crazy. Does anyone have anything else to add regarding the mountain lion, the chipmunk, or the deer? I don't know how it got into animals, right, Joseph? Crazy, crazy. So, what about the multiple dumpsters during the day, Joseph? So he stops to dispose of items in multiple dumpsters the day Suzanne disappeared, and it was all recorded on video. Could there be an innocent reason?
I can't think of a logical explanation of why you would stop at 5 different locations along the way in a short period of time to dispose of a small amount of trash. That to me is very suspicious. It's my understanding that they were not able to recover what he actually threw away, but investigators do hypothesize that he was disposing of evidence.
And if he was disposing of evidence, he kind of got away with it because, as you just said, right, they weren't able to find anything. So 10 hours in Broomfield. It captures him disposing of items at 5 different locations, like you said, including, by the way, a hotel where he had booked rooms for himself and his workers. They were talking about one of the locations. It was a dumpster at a hotel, and the photo from the hotel footage showed him throwing out a trash bag. And then the cleaners later reported his hotel room smelled strongly of chlorine. And what I remember that what I was watching, they said that he said, "Oh, it's probably the pool." I don't mean to laugh, and I am not laughing. Suzanne Morphew, I am so sad that she is gone. What a beautiful mom and woman. But there was no pool. The pool was not filled in. So the investigators were like, "What is he talking about?" Like, do you guys remember any of that, or was it in anything that you watched?
I remember seeing the videos, and it was either, like I said, Dateline or one of those, but, for me, why are you gonna take your garbage and throw it out somewhere else unless you have something to hide? Especially to, like, "I'm gonna put it in my car and take it to different places and dispose of it over the course of time," because why? I'm not gonna take my garbage in my car and stink up my car. I mean,
You know
that's
why, Debbie?
just how I
It's
negative.
nuts. Think about why his reasoning of why he disposed of the trash in accessible bins was to avoid something. Anyone want to guess what he was trying to avoid paying? Landfill fees. I mean, did he buy the book on like it's called the book like excuses, excuses, excuses? How to Kill Your Wife and get away with it, and say I just put all these parts away in different because I didn't want to pay landfill fees. Really?
Yeah, Adrian, if it does turn out that he gets convicted of this and it turns out he was responsible, this guy is a dumbass. I'm just going to say it, a real dumbass.
That's exactly what I put in the chat. Like, really, like, how he's definitely a nincompoop, sorry. I just
And even just down to his insinuation about a mountain lion potentially taking her body away. I mean, when people do, in rare instances, get killed by wildlife, they don't just disappear.
Nope. But listen to this one, Joseph. I'm learning a little bit more. So the trash run coincided with the other suspicious activities. So, for example, this is crazy. Barry's phone entered and exited airplane mode multiple times on May 9th and 10th, where he believed he was attempting to avoid tracking because I know for a fact that my phone doesn't just like automatically go, oh, we're going to go in airplane mode, Adrian. And then you'll have to like, no, you have to like literally either pull your phone down, right? Or do it the old fashioned way. I go into settings and set it up because my fingers don't pull it down correctly on my iPhone. But like otherwise, I guess if I was thinking like he was and I didn't want to be tracked, I probably would put on my airplane mode. And they were able to like see that, Joseph.
Yeah, and that is like the number one thing I've learned from listening to other true crime podcasts and true crime documentaries is when criminals are in the process of committing a crime or they're about to commit a crime, they almost always turn their phone off, put it on airplane mode, or leave the phone in a different location other than where they are. So that is always a very common sign. And I just want to quickly go to Corey because I see that he has his hand up.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Amazing room.
You sound
Um,
great, Corey.
I just was going to ask, like, when these incidents happen, I know common sense is never common when people obviously are killing their spouse and trying to hide it. But I always think as a parent and as a father, husband, about the kids. I know we briefly glossed over that, but how old were the kids? Because you would just hope. I mean, granted, this common sense is not common, but you would hope people be thinking about that. So now you take in their mother, and now you're going to potentially be gone, and then you leave kids there just out there. So, any more information that you guys have about the kids and how old they were at the time of this and how old they are now?
Yeah, so
Well,
they had 2 daughters. I believe at the time of the disappearance, one was 16 and the other was either 18 or 19. So one was away at college and the other daughter was probably like a junior in high school, still living at the home.
And that makes it even worse, in my opinion, because if they're that old, what do we see happen with a lot of people around us? Like when they wait till the kids get old enough and then they go ahead and divorce. If both of y'all are cheating, like is it probably a good case for y'all to separate? You ain't got to worry about too much money going this way or that way. It's like we both did it. We both are doing dirt. Let's just end it and go live our lives separately. But I know obviously with him being a psychopath, that control thing was what he really, thrived on and wanted to control her at all costs. But it's just very sad when you hear of, kids being that old and it's like y'all could have just gotten away from each other, but no, you chose to potentially take your partner out.
so true, Corey. Oh my God. Yes, you are 100% right. And okay, so Corey, they have consistently supported their father throughout the investigation into the mother's disappearance. They were standing by him during court hearings and public statements. Their belief in his innocence is so evident from like when you look at their actions, when you look at their interviews, particularly after the initial charges against Barry were dropped in April of 2022. And then even after his reindictment in June this year. And so there's some reason. So Mallory Morphew, and let me just explain, Mallory is right now about 25 years old. And she said we just know our dad better than anyone else, and we know he was not involved in our mom's disappearance. And her sister Macy was nodding in agreement. So that really definitely suggested deep trust. And they both really appeared arm in arm with him. And that was noted. One daughter attended his court appearance this June, suggesting maybe a possible shift in support, though that is not, there could be many reasons why she wasn't there. And he has emphasized his love for his daughter in interviews, saying, I just love my girls and I love my wife. So a lot of denial is going on. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's denial, but they are definitely supporting their father with a strong belief that that they saw no indication before their mother vanished that something was amiss. And maybe, and that's a really beautiful thing that a mother and father would kind of hide what is taking place to keep the family. So if the children didn't see anything, I honestly say kudos to both of them for being able to take their marital strife and put it aside, even though she did, Susanna May 6th, write to Jeff and saying, I'm done, and reporting his abuse to her. And I guess he shoved Suzanne into a closet. But anyways, what do you guys think about that? Because I think that that is really an important piece that Corey is bringing up.
I agree. I definitely agree. You should have just gotten a divorce. But I also know if the parents in the home, if one's abusive, most times, unless it's extremely severe, they're not showing the kids. And the kids, even if they were older now when the crime happened, there was many years where the kids were at school, so they weren't home, and so it's easy to be mentally, physically, all those things abusive, and the kids are not aware. But also, I mean, my dad took my mom's life, so from that perspective, you don't wanna believe that even if you saw them finding that your parent one of your parents, took your other parent's life. Who wants to admit to that? And maybe lucky or unlucky that I didn't get to really know my dad's story except for what he told me, but there's multiple stories around the reasoning or what really happened, but no one wants to in my family share that because they're like, oh, let it die with him, move on with your life. I'm like, I've lived my life, I understand, I just want to know. But who wants to admit that, right? Who wants to say, yes, that really happened? And believing your parents' story is easier. I'm not saying it's right, but it is easier, right? Because you want to believe your parent that they didn't do it, and you want to believe the story that they shared with you. So that is a very it's like a yo-yo dynamics, right? You wanna believe, but then you could still question, and maybe they'll never believe, maybe they'll, not believe their dad when they get older, I don't know, but those things can switch where you believe that parent's story, and then, you may not as you get older.
Mary Kim, first of all, thank you for sharing with us. And yes, you just opened my eyes and thinking that's really difficult for two young ladies who lost their mother, want to believe in their father, because if they don't believe in their father, then they, in essence, just lost both their mother and father, correct?
Yes, absolutely, right, so you wanna stick you wanna believe that parent, until may think otherwise, or you do your own investigation, or whatever the case may be. Or you may always believe them, right? It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing.
I'm really glad you spoke up though, because a switch just slipped in my brain like, oh, wait, that's such a great point. So, really, really appreciate that's where real life like came right to us, true crime. And this is what happens, right? We all look at things and we think we're the citizen journalism and we know what's going on. Joseph, how much time do we have?
So, in about 15 minutes, I think we'll start wrapping up in about 10 minutes.
Okay. So I just wanted to share the prosecution's theory. This is what the prosecutors think what happened. They believe that Barry killed Suzanne on May 9th, possibly by tranquilizing her with the BAM, chasing her around the house, which was explaining the phone pings and a broken door frame, kind of what you brought up, Joseph, and then staging her disappearance as a biking accident. And then the trash one on the next day was seen as the cleanup effort. So that is what they are going to probably be saying in court. They're also saying that Suzanne's body was likely moved at least twice before being found in the boneyard near Moffat. So she was found on September 22nd, a shallow grave near Highway 17, kind of close to that boneyard area. And then there's some other women that were actually in that area too. Very, very sad.
Yeah. And something that we should definitely keep in mind for the upcoming trial is that Barry Morphew was arrested prior to them finding the body. He was arrested and charged, and they were about to go to trial, and the charges were dropped because there was some issues between the judge and the prosecution. The prosecution had strict deadlines to turn over certain information and documents, and they failed to meet those deadlines. So as a result, the judge told the prosecution that several of their key witnesses that they were going to put forth in trial couldn't testify. So it would have been very difficult for them to have a trial against him. So they dropped the charges. Now, after they've found the body, they've rearrested him, recharged him, and now it will be going to trial. But I'm interested to hear anyone's perspectives on how the fact that he was arrested and then released prior to this could potentially affect a trial. If you were a juror and you learned that he'd already been arrested and released, how would that potentially affect you looking at this case?
Well, so first of all, it I actually, Joseph, feel a little sympathy. Like, oh my gosh, like you were arrested and then you were let go. Now you're living your life. I'm trying to understand what that would be like from that time in 23 to 2 years. You're out of jail, you're living your life. You're probably not thinking about it every day, or maybe you are, depending on what that is looking like. But oh my gosh, all of a sudden, boom, he's arrested again. And then they find the body. It's almost unbelievable to me. And so I'm feeling a little sympathy for him. So if I was a juror, I probably would feel like, wow, that's like crazy. Why would they let him go? What was going on? So yeah, it definitely is putting doubt in my head if I was a juror.
With Mary Kim, for me, I would it wouldn't affect my opinion of him, but I do have an opinion with the prosecutor, right? Like, why did you drop the ball? Like, because you were delayed, you didn't follow through what you're supposed to do. That's what I'd be pissed off about that or just annoyed. Yeah.
I would almost say similarly, like I wouldn't feel anything towards him. It's almost to me, I almost feel the opposite of you of saying like vindicated, like we had them, but we didn't have them. Now we really have them. But going back to the kids too, that could be an also reason why they're so convinced that dad didn't do it because they messed up the first round of the case. So I'm sure you'll have people on both sides, obviously feeling some kind of way about it. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't feel. I'd be like, okay, yeah, we were right. We definitely need to move forward and really get them this time.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, Corey. I'm glad you're here tonight, Corey. Thank you so much.
I think for me, like, I don't think that the first time would really affect my opinion. I would want to hear all of the evidence. And the fact that after he was let go that first time, they found the body. Now that they have the body and they can confirm how she died, and that the tranquilizer cap that they found was on it was in a pair of shorts that he had dried the day that she went missing. So for me, that just kind of all tied it back together, and I would be like, "Okay, so now they really have everything they need." Whereas if the first time if they tried him without the body, he may have gone free because they're gonna say, "No body, no case." But now that they actually have the body and they can prove how she died, and there's all these different things that relate the whole case back to him, I think that he's actually gonna stand more of a chance of being convicted of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it actually worked out in the prosecution's favor because it's my understanding that it's very difficult to convict someone on a murder charge if you don't have a body. So I'm not confident, even if they had adhered to all the judge's orders and they didn't have any issues, I think they would have had a difficult time securing a conviction the first time around. And now it looks like they have a very strong case.
Do we want to talk about Joseph before we close out? We did talk a lot about the signs of domestic abuse. I know that she had expressed the fear of Barry in the text to the friends before she disappeared. But was there anything else going on? It sounds like the children weren't aware of anything. Do we know anything else regarding if there was any domestic abuse?
So I know that there was a story about them getting into a physical altercation of Barry shoving her into a closet during a heated discussion. We know that there are claims of financial control, manipulation, and abuse in that aspect. So I think that controlling behavior is definitely a huge red flag for domestic violence, even if there aren't any physical signs of abuse. So I think that is something to look out for and familiarize yourself with if you are in a situation or you have a friend who's in a situation where they are not able to do things they would normally want to do, if they are feeling like they don't have the ability to spend their own money, things like that, um, are things to look out for.
Yeah, they will actually also slowly deter you or prevent you from going to your loved ones. That's one way also that they start to manipulate you. They seclude you as best they can away from your family and loved ones so they can kind of control you even more. And then it gets h- elevated from there, and then it's really harder and harder to leave.
Yes, the best we could do, Mary Kim, is support our friends and our family and listen to them, right? And try to have them report what's happening. So thank you, Joseph. I'm really glad that you picked this case out, and I hope that justice is served for beautiful Suzanne Morphew. I don't know where the over the hour went, but it sure flew by.
It did. That is a wrap. Thank you for joining us for this in depth look at the Suzanne Morphew case. We know it was a lot of information, but cases like this are complex. So I'm glad that we got to fully break down the timeline and have this discussion.
And if you enjoyed this episode or you learned something new, please subscribe to Debate the News True Crime. It'll be on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. It does help others find the show. And really want to just say thank you to Debbie. Thank you to Marty. Thank you to Mary Kim. Thank you to Mariana. And we appreciate your speaking up and speaking out. It's really wonderful that you're doing that. And Marty, special shout out for Marty for recording and then downloading it and then uploading it and doing all the things he will be doing to get this show on. So we really appreciate it. So, and thank you, Joseph. You're an amazing co host.
Adrian, you are an amazing co host as well. And thank you to our listeners, whether you're live right now while we're recording this or you're listening on a podcast. We really appreciate you.
And until next time, stay safe and stay curious.